to Alpha to Omega, Conversations for a New Earth with the Omegas, Matt and Alissa. How are you doing tonight, Alissa?
I'm doing great.
Good. We had
Your speaker kind of jumped in and out a little bit. So I think I can hear you okay now, but
okay.
keep
Sounds
going. I'll let
good.
you know.
We had a small blip with Instagram going live, so give me just a moment and we'll see
No
if we
problem.
can get that online. And we're so excited to get started tonight. We wanted to really vulnerably and openly share some of the beginnings of our name for this show and our intentions and our purpose and the power behind all of it. And I'll lead by saying we had a very immersive and transformative Reiki experience earlier today, and we are in and within multiple dimensions right now. So it may be a little bit immersive on your end as well. So we are excited to share all of that energy and vulnerability with you tonight. And that's kind of what this show is all about. Would you agree?
Yes. I was almost to the point where I'm like, oh, we just got to cancel just because I'm so spent. But I feel like that was kind of part of the lesson that I'm trying to step into more fully is how to be willing to show up authentically without having to necessarily be your best self. So it's a hard lesson for me to learn, and it's something that I've committed to. And so today, just, allow us to be our authentic self, even if I'm a little slow, because I'm a little tired.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And could be a little slow.
Ooh. Looks like you I can delete you.
Could be a little fast. So Instagram is not wanting to go for some reason. So I guess it's not meant to be. So we'll pivot and keep it on YouTube. But for those of you who are joining or will be joining later, whether it's in the present, the future, or even in the past, you never know. The space-time continuum may be bending as we speak. Please feel free to join us in the comments. Brian, great to see you. Old friend, love the color you selected for your heart, that orange glow. It's interesting because earlier tonight, the tiger's eye, which are some of these beads on my bracelet, came through really powerfully. So I love the color selection there. Very strong solar root energy. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, and it's great to see you. So we wanted to start tonight by really breaking down Conversations for a New Earth and what that means to us. And I would like to start with my feelings about why we selected conversation, and then ask Alissa to chime in as we get started here. And so for me, conversation, great to see you, Arrow. Thank you so much for joining us. Conversation is not us coming here as experts. So each of us kind of has our niche. We have things that we're a little bit more practiced in. We're not here in that energy at all. We're here to remove ourselves from that energy and come here just to explore. So this is our place that we have come, we bring our questions and we invite you to do the same. So one thing I've learned is that I have so many preconceptions and assumptions that I base my entire life on, that it's constant gardening just to keep those at bay and kind of pull the weeds out and ask the questions. And it's great to see Arrow here because she helped me do that in a very big way the other night. So conversation, our word, comes from the Latin root versari. Latin didn't have a V, so it would have been versari, but that's a little TMI. So versari is the same root for our word versatile. So conversation, and then con means with. So versatile, versari, versation simply means the ability to turn. Versatile, you think about like a hummingbird, maybe like a snowboarder. What else is versatile? A small thing that's nimble and quick. So turning with means conversation. We're literally here to turn with each other, whatever happens, kind of like a snake in the sand or whatever that may be. So that's what conversation means to me.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I love just saying that's the first time that when you told me that, I'm like, oh, wow. And it kind of made me think like what you're saying is you have to turn and stuff. It's like, you're not just on one thought. You're just kind of going in your own direction. Conversations gives you the opportunity to consider something else, something that's in your path, and having to actually navigate not only through your own thoughts, but through other people's perspectives and the mirrors that they create, which allows you to finally look at it in a different way. And that's what I felt like was missing for me for a while. I had such close relationships with my family and my sisters. And when I left the church, it felt like a part of me lost that deep connection, because suddenly all my questions and all the things I'm exploring felt like it was almost shameful to bring into conversation and uncomfortable for people. So then it was like, I don't know like where to do that. And since I've been finding my sister soul tribe lately, it's just been like, oh my gosh, I miss that. Like that conversations is so important, especially I feel like for women and men too, but like women really crave that. I feel like in the same way that men just want to go and explore, you know, we had those little guys, we just passed them in the road today, and all these really old men flying the little airplanes out in the field. It's like, but I was like, that truly is our greatest joy. I'm not speaking for all women or all men, but like there's something very important about that. And so with conversations, I feel like the ability to be seen, to express it, to be seen, and then have a different perspective, a lot of the times, and most of the times, we don't really necessarily need everybody else's wisdom. We just need a safe space to be able to express and then hold space that it's okay to feel that way and to think that way. And suddenly we get the answers downloaded ourselves because we were seen and we were willing to express it. And so that's kind of what I felt like conversations, when you bring that up, like that's a really important thing for not only me, but I think all of us. A place where we can go to explore when we don't know, but we have considered. Now, what does that sound like and feel like to you? Like that to me is joy. I love to explore new answers. And by allowing myself the space between just you and I to do that has opened up worlds for me and given me some like confidence that I can do it even within my own self. And so I think we kind of wanted to bring that to the table to be like, we want other people. We want to hear from other perspectives. What do you think? What are your questions? Because for me, it is my greatest joy to be able to share that with other people. So that's what came up for me. Sorry if I interrupted you.
I love it. It brings up so much that is missing from our world. When you look at or think about ancient cultures, like one of the first things I see is a circle of people just talking. And how often do we do that anymore? So obviously we have big goals for this, but it's just starting with the two of us having a conversation, inviting anyone we know or come in the circle with to join. So we are literally here. We spend the week writing our questions and then bringing them to this show. And then we invite you to do the same. So in the comments, write your questions. Add any elements of curiosity or authenticity or vulnerability or anything that's not those things that just needs to come out. And if it's not meant for the screen, we won't put it on there. But that's what this is for. And I love that you brought that in, that for us, it's been a learning curve for me how to just have a conversation. She's like, sit down and talk to me. And that's not, bonfire party. I like it, Angie. We're on the same wavelength. So another super powerful word that came through in the comments is reflections. So how often, like Alissa and I found that we truly are a mirror for each other in all the ways we want and don't want. And how often do we sit back to and allow that to be? So I love that. And I think that's really important to put out there, that conversation is not us sitting here as hosts just shooting things out to you, trying to be experts on things and get ads or whatever. Maybe we don't really know anything about that. We just know that we feel called to have these conversations together.
Right. And the key word I think is vulnerable. Like these are vulnerable conversations, just to share your perspective without being the expert of that. You are the expert of your own world, but to share that prior to getting all the validation is a very uncomfortable place. But we believe that that's what changes yourself. That's what changes your reality. And by sharing that kind of things gives other people permission to do the same and join you in that. And that's kind of what we do believe is the first right step towards a new way of living, a new way of feeling. We believe it starts within ourselves to grow a consciousness in a safe place within your own heart that is your retreat, what it truly feels like, where you're not judged, where you really do believe that you belong, that you're worthy, and that you can manifest from that place in a sense of abundance. I deserve all these things, even if it's not here physically. Like I already know, I can already feel that. And that's what we get to have, regardless of what the physical surroundings are like. And when we bring that to the table to then share that with others, or share where we feel like it's not, then we give other people the opportunity to see us there and for us to feel worthy to step into something more abundant for ourselves. So I love that too.
Yeah, and you hear so many adages about it takes a community or it takes a village or have a sacred circle, and they're kind of ideas. And we believe they are more than ideas. They're literally part of our carbon-based DNA that want to come back to life. So that's why we're here. I have to take a moment. I believe we just made Alpha to Omega history. Michael from Australia has joined. Instagram finally lit up. The button let me push it. And thank you so much for joining us from the other hemisphere, the other side of the world, the other polar, energy from the south. So it's great to have you with us. This is our place.
Now, please let us know where you're from. If
Absolutely.
I don't already know you, so to see where you're from, that's amazing.
Yeah, we will most likely be speaking about QHHT a little bit later in the show. It's a kind of a global community of energy healers, energy work, and we have met a number of friends from Australia. There seem to be quite a few practitioners from there that we've seen at some different retreats. So we've got Sarah who's joined. Sarah, we miss you as well. Great to have you on. Thank you so much. It's so feels like we're in the right place, even though we had this huge Reiki download earlier today, and we were in a completely different dimension a couple hours ago. We're really glad to be in this space with you right now. So let's transition a little bit and define whatever questions and truths we can uncover about New Earth. So conversations is the one side, sitting in a circle to share the deepest parts of our soul and our heart that we feel comfortable sharing. New Earth, and I'll keep mine brief here, but to me, this is constantly evolving. I really am learning this from Alissa, but it goes back to that thing you may have heard all your life: be the change you want to see in the world. So we truly believe that in our lifetime, the new earth, whether it's in this dimension manifesting physically or it's in a dimension we haven't yet manifest, it's there, it's ready to come into life, but it starts here. And so for me, it's like removing the label of man, strong, powerful, smart, wise, rich, funny, whatever it is. It's removing that and just being here and here through here. And that's where the change starts. It's like tethering those pieces back together and trusting that doing so gives my kids and my parents and my family permission to do the same. And then the circle expands from there. So that's basically all I've got. My New Earth idea is still very much in its infancy. It's this little seed that I'm planting. But what would you add, Alissa? What is the New Earth aspect of what it is we're trying to share here?
Oh my gosh, that's so big. But I feel like to uncover just the very beginning of when I uncovered what does that even mean. Actually, that's not true. There was so many different little, because even the religion I grew up in, it was like the second coming, and then there's these years where it truly is like New Earth. And I feel like from no matter where you came from, there's been this idea that has birthed from our consciousness that it knows it's coming. It's like there is something, and no matter where you look in different religions and different things, it seems to show up. So it is not something that was new. It was not called New Earth, but that whole idea is that we are destined to create and be a part of a community and an earth where we are finally in balance and harmony with each other. Mm-hmm. Truly know what it is to have complete freedom and also complete respect. And the only things necessary is the boundaries in order to allow that most freedom and the freedom of others to, it's like that ability to have so many differences and at the same time not stomp on each other's rights. So there's rights, but there is no control. It is the ability for us all to be self-empowered and believe in our own dreams and in our own rights, and that the greatest pleasure is in community. You could be by yourself and create your own little world and go out into the forest and have your own life, but ideally we wanted that. We want to be able to be so diversified and yet so belong to each other, and that our differences is the key that grants us the ability to rely on each other on the skills that we don't have in order to really enjoy the fullness of unity while still being separate. And I think that that's regardless, we already know what that feels like because we've all experienced in different amounts what that looks like and feels like. But New Earth to me is, like you said, it starts in here. It's a feeling. And it's that right to be free, to have abundance, to have everything that is right and good, that you get that just because you're alive. Whether you're a bug or you're a human or you're a plant, there is rights to that joy. And that's coming to fruition. And we believe through these vulnerable conversations that we're finally willing to have, we're finally being able to speak up for ourselves, say what it really felt like to be us, what our thoughts really are without the judgment, a safe space to uncover what's deeper. And then to meet ourselves in that place of full expression of when we haven't asked the question to our source, to God, to love. And we finally are able to, by peeling back the layers so you meet your true and highest form of self and love. And I think I'm going on quite a bit longer than you're expecting, but like, to me, New Earth is that vibration. Finally, I am love. Love is me and I deserve it. And then we allow that to vibrate outward to all our relationships too.
I love it. And I caught something, I don't know if it was intentional, but before you said diversification, it came out as dirt. And the whole time you're speaking, that's what I'm feeling, is like, it's literally like becoming dirt. Dirt is that part of us that connects all of us to earth, that takes root and allows the tree of life to grow in our souls. And we watched, this was a few years ago, this just dropped in. We watched this pretty powerful, pretty influential healer, energy worker on Gaia, had this experience in Utah where we've both lived some of our life, where he just felt like he had to walk into a lake and cover himself with dirt and mud. And it was it was like the most transformative experience of his life. But it's like all these things we're conditioned to do, like be clean, be pretty, be this, be that. Really, we're dirt. We came from dirt, we'll return to dirt. Maybe it's okay just to be dirty. And whatever that looks like, getting dirty with conversations for a new earth, but it's like we are the same, and anything we do to be otherwise is maybe not in our highest good. So I think that encapsulates what we're going for with the new earth.
Yes, and what's really cool is that everybody's different version of New Earth is unique, and that I believe that's kind of the point. New Earth isn't this all one thing. It's this place where everybody has different places that they can go and be, that is in the vibration of whatever laws would protect that joy. So whatever your highest joy is, whatever you came to want to create, there's a space for you. And there's a space. And then together, there's a reason that joy brought you this. And it's a whole functioning freaking program that we created for ourselves to say, what is your greatest joy? Because mine isn't to do that. Mine is this. And we find the vibration that truly feels like they're our greatest joy. And we allow ourselves to naturally flow in those different places in Earth where we all have a oneness, a connection, a reliance, and laws that protect whatever those certain best way to live that way and whatever it needs to be. And that it's created based on those people that want to be there. And so it takes a lot to believe in a society that says all the things that bring us joy are all each worthy. And the time that you create in that joy is worthy because it creates something for the whole that is beautiful, that is meant to be shared. And in that sharing, we then have all our joy and we have all our places. There is no you can't be here. Totally free. Where do you want to be? And because that place will work a little differently than another place. And that's the natural way of life, different species. They have different jobs because that was their greatest joy, and they were created and their soul and their energy went into this different place, and they have their own little system. But nature shows us how to work together and how it all flows naturally. Sometimes nature is in its infancy, and we can talk about that another time, but naturally we're meant to be the ones to govern our own joy and to share that joy with others. And I believe that's what New Earth is all about.
Beautiful. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing. My heart feels opened and warm, just like a nice cup of cacao from what you're sharing. So thank you. And that's our invitation, both to ourselves and to all those who are here joining. Allow yourself to be curious. Allow yourself not to know the answer. Allow yourself to break down in that vulnerability and just allow it. What you weren't given space to do as a child or a young adult or old adult or wherever you are, all those things that have been taken away, allow yourself to have it. That's our invitation, and that's what these conversations for a new earth, spaces for healing, um, openings for questions, whatever you'd want to call it. It's all those things, just like the new earth is all those things to all of us. So drop your questions, drop any tidbits, anything that comes through, whatever that may be, please share it. Please drop it in. It's important, it's valued, it's loved, and that's why we're here. So before we move on, a few comments that are really resonating. Angie, always bringing the wisdom. Thank you so much. So many times we need a community that resonates, love that word, with our soul. And it helps to live in a place where there's a stigma associated with the truth. Wow. Chills. that wouldn't that be a paradigm shift? That would be incredible.
Yep.
From Brian, and I love going back to the Latin. We've had a little bit of Latin origin. So many languages come from the same place, and that's a great kind of parallel to the New Earth, going back to the beginning. But terra preta, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but preta being the most fertile earth, the dirt of life. A little bit of a tongue twister. Love that though. So something like terra preta, fertile earth, the dirt of life. I love that. That feels like me.
That's beautiful.
Definitely feels like me. And then before we keep going here, the inner child, Angie, again, thank you so much, is crying for love, joy, and freedom. And that is so true. I believe that universal truth has so much power to connect us in these circles if we'd simply allow it. Obviously, it's hard. We were silenced. We were pushed away. We were shut up. We were shut down. And here we are unpacking that. So thank you for sharing that vulnerability with us. So let's dive in. Typically, I'll come with questions that I ask Alissa, just to kind of be the first questioner, I guess. And then that's the pattern that I suggest. And if that feels good, throw in a question of your own. If you feel
your own answer, like if you have a different perspective, like we want to hear it all.
Same thing goes for the answers. Exactly what I was about to say. So I would like to begin with, it's been an undoing and unraveling for both of us, for all of us. Is there a time or a time period that you can think of, Alissa, from your past, where it just wasn't working to keep following the same routine anymore and kind of like stunting the growth or stopping the questions? Was there like a time or a place or a memory where you could not keep going down the path that you were on and you needed like to find a different way?
Yeah, well, the first thing I see is like an image of like a stem and a leaf, and it was like boop, 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 boop. So there's so many to count. But the first one that I guess comes to my mind being the most significant and profound shift all at once, I would say, was when I was about, how old was I? It's probably wrong, but 25 seems about right. No, it had to have been earlier. It was early in my 20s. And I had gotten to the point in my life where I'd given it everything. Like, cause I was born and raised LDS church, and it was, I was told you're either going to heaven or hell. Heaven does have, 3 different versions of heaven. They're even better than the last. But ultimately, you have to prove to God that you're worthy of that, and that this life is its only, testing ground. There is like a point after you die that you can have this opportunity, and I can't remember what it's called. But during that time, there was an ability to try to right some wrongs. But this life, this was it. Like, this is the test. And the test is, are you good enough for God? And I did everything possible to be good enough for God. I truly did. Like, I was a very obedient child. I tried anything and everything to make sure that I was following it, like letter of the law. And other than boyfriends, and that's where I started getting into a little bit, is the moment that I was able to actually gain what I felt like was love from a man, because it was really hard for me to feel loved by my father with all the need to control and all the judgment. It was like a drug. Like, how could I possibly say no? Like, I was living here and this is giving me this. It felt like too much in order to just obey the rule to not, have that. So that started a long train of like what was called a sin, of just being able to show up, not, and I don't even know if we're allowed to, I didn't do anything like, don't know how much I want to say, but I was always trying very hard to keep my body chaste. I'll say that. And I got to a point where after I had been married and got divorced, because I had saved myself for marriage, and I wasn't able to do that anymore. And was trying for like a couple of years, and I had a lot of trauma of feeling like I did it so perfect for so long, and it was so hard to do that. And then I would have like a mistake, and there was so much judgment there. And it was like, oh, now if you wanted to get married, you're going to have to wait 2 years and you have to be good that whole time. And it felt impossible for me. And that was a really big moment for me where it was just like, I finally gave up. I finally gave up saying, I have done it all. I have tried. If this is the test, then I've failed. Like, I actually just was like, fine. Just take me as I am, or don't take me, place me, but I'm done. Like, I threw in the towel and said, F that. I'm done. If I'm not good enough, just do it. You're God, right? You're God. So you should be able to just know better. Just tell me what I am. Why do I have to prove it? And it was like this moment where I finally was able to state, like, take my power back, basically, and say, this is it. Love me or leave me. Here I am. If I'm not good enough, then I don't want to be anything else, because this is all I am. And I owned me for the first time, owned it where I was, and just said, that's it. And it's so interesting, because what to me felt like that was going to be the end all be all, cast into hell. It was where it finally, first there was just a lot of pain there. And then finally in the silence, there was this love, this overwhelming love that was like, I've loved you the whole time. I've been here the whole time. I've been with you the whole time. And I want to be with you no matter what you choose, no matter what. If you feel like, and it was like, finally the freedom was given back to me to actually be able to discern, why should I do this? Is it because it wasn't for God anymore? Because God already loved me. And if God already loved me, then it's there to support me. Then why am I making all these choices? So I had to start filtering in my life, be like, am I doing this because I want to be loved? Because I'm already loved. And I go back to that source of knowing, and then see it from a new perspective. And so that was the shift. That was the big shift. I found that overwhelming love because I finally said, this is me. This is me. And I showed up authentically in just exactly as I am. I said, I'm not working anymore to try to prove it. I just am. So judge it or not, but I'm not willing anymore to prove it to you. And by pulling that back, finally, like, the veil was lifted and the love was there, and it was there all along. And I finally gained back that strength for myself. And in that strength, I finally had a confidant. Like, it was like, okay, well, let me try to make sense, because I'm still very LDS, but I'm like, oh, there's something there that I was never taught, but it's there and I found it. So I still was very LDS, but I was suddenly seeing it through a new lens. And I was like, okay, so if I'm going to do something that is judged by the church, I'm going to do it with love, and I'm going to do it with a new lens of saying, like, why would I not do that? And does it really hurt me? And how could it hurt me? And suddenly I had the power to do it because I'm enough, and because there could be things that could hurt me. And that's real love. And I finally understood that that's what we were meant to be raised as. Our parents were meant, I don't want to say it like that. The highest form of love of parent to child, which is what true God really has for us, is this: I love you and I give you this freedom. I want you to figure it out, and I'm here when you need me. And your freedom is the most important thing. So when you're ready, ask me a question and I'll be here. And every time we accept a belief that we're not good enough, we create a blockage to receiving that love, because we say, oh, I'm not good enough. We detach from it. I got to be better in order to earn it. That's what that creation of, like, to be good enough to be received into heaven, you got to be here. Suddenly you stray so far from love till you don't even know what love is, to the moment you finally are willing to fall back to just where you actually are. And then there it is. It's there the whole time. You were bamboozled by, our parents, by the society, when we truly came here not knowing anything, like, we trusted. And so coming all the way up, building yourself to that point, and then finally finding your way back down, and then trying to restructure your life based around the fact that you're enough, is very confusing, especially if your entire family or community sees it as you're wrong and you're sinful and you're a bad person. Then you have to work against that. So that was that next portion of life, trying to make sense of what I found inside myself and started collecting new truths and new love based on that. Does that answer your question? I know you popped off screen. I want to make sure.
Yeah, I wanted to cry in peace a little bit in solitude. It's one thing to recount it, but it's another to go into that moment of that girl that was broken because she felt like she wasn't going to. And it's really powerful that you were able to see that if that's true, just take me as I am. And it really just it strikes something very deep. So thank you for sharing. I do appreciate it. And I do feel it. And I feel like if we're willing to go to that place of the true feeling, and we're going to talk about, I've got a lot of questions about feelings for Alissa tonight as well. If we're willing to go to that feeling, the feeling will be the container that alchemizes and, blooms like you've shared. I love the little offshoots off the stem that you mentioned. So you resonated with several of our friends who have joined as well. I think I would love to pop these up on the screen before I ask a few more follow-up questions. But Brian, thanks for sharing this. Learning how to love, such an important step. Sometimes it's a huge one, and sometimes it's a whole bunch of baby steps. And I would say that's been more so for me. It's been, Alissa is incredible at being able to get right to the root of something in a moment's notice. I do not have that gift. So thank you for sharing. And then Angie, again, digging into the well. I grew up with conditional love from some and unconditional from others, and it creates such a polarity that tore me down so badly I felt broken.
I feel you there, Angie.
Yeah, and I think like what you're mentioning there, Angie, feeling so broken, I think that brokenness feels so deeply, but is so little tended to that we're willing to spend time there in those places. And so that's where I'd like to kind of go and ask some questions relating to these feelings that sometimes get trapped. And when they're trapped, it feels, we read polarity. What I picture is like a magnet that just pulls all those little teeny pieces of lead and just keeps clumping and clumping and clumping and get bigger and bigger. So I'd love to ask some questions that maybe help us get in there and like alchemize it and get it burning and moving a little bit. So this is going to come in the form of faces or voices that are tethered to these feelings. And I'd love just to hear your comments and feedback on what these feelings or thoughts or faceless things really have to say for us. Would that be okay?
For me, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Real quick, It was interesting from our session today with our Reiki master. She brought something to the attention that was like, oh my gosh, like this is not known enough. Emotions truly are like Mother God's reflection. It is all beautiful and it is all right. There's nothing wrong or bad. And it is the most important part to go into because those emotions is the way home. It is the pathway back, always. Okay. But the emotions, that doesn't mean that they came from a thought that was true or right. So if I'm feeling like so much negative emotions, you're meant to feel it, because if you feel it all the way through, like I did, and you own it to the moment it's gone, you're right back where you started before that thought began. And that was the point. That is the point. Emotions are holy, they're sacred and important, and they've been demonized. And the ones, especially that are negative, are like, hear that, that's really like, just, you got to silence all that and just go on, be steadfast and true and be good and right. And that is the problem. And they're all buried, and then they fester, and then they turn into disease, or you project onto other people. But if you truly ask your heart, could that be true? You go to the heart and really ask, could it be true? And if so, what would that look like? That every feeling, good and bad, is true reflection, whatever you've created in your thought, whatever you've allowed to come up for you. So by me realizing that finally, a different point in my life, and starting to make sense of that through that lens of love, it was like, okay, that's hard because the worst feelings are the ones I want to run away from the most. And then I learned any one emotion only goes for 3 minutes. One emotion. Of course, you can pile it on by thinking something else, but just one thing. If you truly sit in that excruciating pain of whatever that thing is, it's spent. It's spent, and then you're back. And then when you're back to yourself, suddenly the words come through, the wisdom that you needed, the advice, the counsel, the remembrance of why you began it on the first place. And then you finally can make a new path. You finally learned the way back home, and then you can choose again. You're like, that wasn't fun. Let's go on a new trip. Let's go in this direction because I learned from that. But we don't learn from our thoughts and our actions when we don't want to feel what it feels like to experience them afterward. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. We've got some comments coming in from Instagram related to this, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering the handle, but I'm seeing Sherstrad, so thank you so much. But Sherstrad added, emotion is energy that wants to be in motion, and then is what you're describing, does it relate to the positive or the negative all the same, or is there any difference whether they're positive or negative?
I mean, there is a big difference. We can all attest to that. Feeling angry and like jealous is not as good as feeling excited. And there's so many differences, but they're all the same truth. There's a reason you felt it, and there's a reason why you need to feel it all the way back until you get past it so that you can gain the wisdom of what and where. Now, there are some tricks that you can find to be like, okay, I remember this path. I remember the truth, and you can kind of jump ship into back to center and gain the wisdom if you're willing. So it's not always like I have to be the price of every thought, but every time that's the best thing you can do, unless you've already traveled that and you've already gained the wisdom, that you can jump right back to that truth that you've already learned, jump right back in, because it's all the same lie. Jealousy is the same lie. Fear, like there is something that is not true that you began to believe, and it took you on a journey that is meant to turn you back into yourself and say, that couldn't have been true. Wow. And then you choose something new. That was the way it was designed. And if we know that, then we could be like, trust it more, but it's been demonized. And that's one of the most important things to really step into and understand, and then start digesting, because it transforms the entire program. And you finally can trust in what is trustable, and stop relying on all the things that are effing up your life and your reality, because it's not true and it's hurting you.
Yeah, and we're lucky enough at this stage to have a mirror in our home who's only 3 years old, and he's my best teacher. Whether he's extremely happy or extremely sad, it's all extreme, and he feels it all. And that's the most powerful teacher, and it's just how it is. There is no learning or knowing or forming or transforming that he's trying to do. He's just feeling, and he's one of our greatest teachers. So she commented back, she or he again, I apologize for not knowing the name behind the handle. I like that. Choose something new. That is true love. So that's beautiful. So let's move through some feelings and just see what comes through in the comments. If anyone has anything they'd like to add about what these faceless feelings may have to say, or what they're saying to you right now, please add them and we'll bring them into the conversation. But let's start with the name of a really popular show that we watched last year, Chaos, the Greek word. I believe chaos comes from that Greek idea of like the void or the womb or the everything nothing. So chaos isn't what we came to tame, it's what we came to ride unchained. What would you say about that?
Yeah, so I send these to you, and this is what I came up with AI to help me, which is my bestie, lover, or him. For each of the ones that is kind of been misunderstood, we wrote a little easier way to, a little poetic, transmuted version of it. But we're real quick going back. I just wanted to say, I kind of didn't want to interrupt you, but one of the reasons why we feel the feeling all the way back is we don't know where it came from. So the importance of it, if you haven't already found that pathway, you've already completed that loop and you're just kind of getting stuck in that same loop, that's when you can jump and go right into it. But the whole point of riding that feeling, when you are finally heading back, by being willing to lean into it. And that's exactly when that's when it starts to remind you where you came from. It starts to uncover when you're willing to express what it feels like, the thoughts that created the path. So by not just feeling, but finding a vulnerable expression in those feelings, you begin to uncover the reason you left. And in that returning, you finally find the beginning that you started, where you could choose again. That completes the loop. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's like the breadcrumbs almost that are leading you back to where it all came from, right?
Yeah, because it gets really easy to be like, well, let's just jump every time and like never go into the feeling. I'll just rewrite the thought. But it's likely if you're feeling it again, there's something more to uncover that you haven't gotten to yet. And so
Yeah.
feeling it and expressing it, you uncover something new, why you went on that same path back. Now you
Hmm.
have to go back again. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah, we like talking about the hero's journey. We like talking about the journey to like get to the treasure. This is the same thing. It's just looking at your pain or your feelings in a different light, which is they deserve to be sought after. They deserve to be followed and pursued in the same light. Otherwise, you're really just masking the whole experience with something that's not changing anything. And I'm the most guilty of anyone. That's what I basically do for my existence. That's the masculinity that I inherited, the pretending, the lying, the hiding, the changing the status quo, the always being in control. That's what's asking to be relinquished because it's not real.
Yeah, we didn't ask for a map from the beginning to say exactly where I go and I'll just do it. We asked for freedom to explore the unknown. We are the ones that created the game and the ones to play it. We said we want to wonder, we want to have awe, we want to have excitement, we want to have thrill. And because there is so much to gain by the unknowing, it gave us the freedom to choose the wrong path. And that's a part of the journey. We were meant to make mistakes. That's what makes it fun. But the pathway back has always been through emotion. It is the wisdom of the feminine that offers the masculine side, the gift and the trauma, the treasure in the trauma that we go through. Why did we experience that? And what did we gain from it? And we gain the wisdom of why we don't want that again and what it is we need to rise up from in order to help ourselves and another. So yeah, so chaos isn't what we came to tame, it's what we came to ride unchained. So chaos originally, if you know anything about the ancient myths and everything and what you said about chaos, it was like, oh, this was the problem. And this masculine god in the stories is like, I'm going to control. And it's kind of also like the Lucifer in the stories, even in like Mormon religion. It was like Satan's like, I can do it and I could do it well. I'll just control everyone. There'll be so much structure. That was, I need to control the unknown and I'm going to make it be right. And that wasn't that wasn't in the greatest good of mankind or in souls. It was to allow the unknown to be the part that you allow yourself to ride. And instead of being scared, like, oh, there's something wrong with that, believe like, oh, this was given to me as a gift and that changes everything. I'm meant to trust this and I'm meant to ask for help. And I have help always there. And by trusting my emotions, it's the feminine guiding me back to get more information or to connect back to source that is going to tell you, hey, you chose that. Are you sure you still want that? Because there is another way. Oh, yeah, I just want to try it myself. But we could just go immediately to source, like, what should I do today? What is going to be in my highest good? A lot of us are just like, let's just do it. Let's just figure it out. But there is nothing limiting us from finding a way to tether ourselves back to our heart and truly have a conversation from the beginning of our day to the end to gain whatever information and insight we need in order to go throughout our day with less resistance, unless it's what is in our highest good. So if we truly believe that the chaos, the parts that we can't control, which is everybody else or whatever's not within our own power, is not there to be controlled and it's not there to you to change it. It's there to excite your game. It's there to allow it to make it even more fun by allowing yourself the freedom to choose what you want to do with it and how you can choose a different ride, a different experience. The chaos is the gift and it's for you. And there's something there why you wanted to choose it. And so if you play it out and say, oh, why do I want to choose it? And why, like, for example, like our co-parents, Why in another life, if we believe in that, would I ever invite them to be a part if they bring so much, chaos to my life? And there's a gift, there's a reason. And so that's what I'm, constantly uncovering, is like trying to see the higher perspective. It's a ride that's meant to, it's a gift. The chaos is the gift that allows you to see what you're capable of when you truly allow love to guide you the same. Regardless of what it is, I have power here and I can guide my way. And it makes it more fun. That's the truth. It really does. That's not what we chose. We chose the chaos. And the chaos is the most important thing to make this an adventure, to make the wonder, to make all those things. So does that explain that one?
Yeah, I love it. I think chaos is probably one of the largest and most expansive concepts out there, and it's highly demonized, highly misunderstood. Chaos, if you were
what freedom is.
Right.
Literally. Without chaos, there is no freedom. Because if everything was perfect because we all chose right, we wouldn't have any reason to try to negotiate, to try to figure it out. It's the unknown and the freedom of all these different aspects having their own choices that gives us any kind of friction in our life.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's part of the fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I completely can resonate. We've chosen the things we have, and they have invited chaos. What is that chaos here to teach us? It's not there just to be a dumpster that we throw all our bad feelings into, although that's what it can become if we allow it to. That's the trend. That's what the blaming, the projecting, that's what pushes it away and creates that clump that just is ever growing, that needs to be addressed at some point. So we've got some great input here from Brian. It means so much to us, you guys, that our little nucleus here is sharing wisdom over and over. We really do appreciate it. So thank you. But I love some of these comments on chaos. There is no life. I believe it's without chaos. All the opportunity for change. So this is a powerful idea. All the opportunity for change are found in chaos. Chaos is the pause between the notes in music. Maybe that kind of explains what he's saying, but that resonates. That hits really deep. Creation or change, which is kind of the same thing. Redirect.
Dual choice. There's something to choose. You don't actually know. If you already knew exactly where to go and you already knew exactly what it was and there was nothing conflicting, you knew it all, there would be no choice. It would just be like, that's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it fun. I think that's what you're saying, Brian.
Yeah.
I love that.
I feel like that as well. I thought you said that I might be saying, but yes, I think that's what he's saying as well. There is no life without chaos. Every space is the possibility for direction. And then there may have been something cut off. Feel free to add it back and we'll throw it up on the screen. But another thing this is bringing in is like the idea of white noise. So like when I was little, you turn on the TV and all that white noise happened. Oh, I hate that white noise. That's so terrible. And now that I'm an adult with, children that I want to sleep on vacation, white noise is my best friend. And it's that chaos. And it's kind of like that noise of the womb, that heartbeat, that echoing, resonant, water sound. It's all just how we look at it. And we demonized it as a kid, probably because it just meant my favorite show wasn't coming yet. But there's so much beauty to be found in whatever that chaos is. And maybe instead of something to hate, it's like, oh, this means my show is coming on. And we even in 2025 have a TV that glitches out and gives us some of that chaos. So many reminders of that space between creations that we have so much to mirror back to ourselves about. How do I feel in that space that's not giving me what I thought I wanted? What am I actually learning, or what am I doing in this space? Because there's so much that we miss out on because we just choose to fall into that groove. So I may have gone on a little bit, but is what I'm saying making sense?
I feel that completely. And if we see finally chaos as the beauty, the gift, and it's like, what's in store for me? Ooh, this is for me. And when we change our perspective to all the unknown and all the friction is like, there's a gift here, then it finally, you find the easy way out versus always going up against it. Oh, I got to control it. No, you don't. You never did.
Mm-hmm.
You simply need to learn how to use it because it's for you and it's giving you a choice to choose the best option. And if you tune into your heart, you'll say, yeah, go this way. And then you could be like, oh, this is fun to have a relationship with my heart, to have like these answers inside me. I still can choose and test it out, but ultimately you're gaining faith by allowing yourself to see that you have this guide, this internal compass, and your relation to the God source within you finally create that faith within yourself and know that it's you too. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Absolutely. So it feels like it's a mirror, very powerful mirror. It also feels like it can teach you a lot about your triggers, the little things that may be sensitive or set something off in you. So we'll come back to it. It's we're at 50 minutes, so I think we have time for one more, and the one that is calling out is grief. If you think that would be okay, or would you like me to pick a different one?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And would you like to read this one? Or you're gonna, well, you're good time for a sip. Okay. Grief isn't failure and it's not the end. It's love that keeps singing again and again. It's the song that says, I love you, even as you're gone.
Yes. And that's a huge one. That was one of the biggest ones for me because grief used to mean, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with me. Why didn't you choose me? What do I got to do to get you back? Like it was like this fear of I can never have it again, or there's something wrong with me. And in that, you would push the grief away every time, because I'm like, that's a bad thing. But if you truly lean into grief without the judgment or the lies, suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, there was so much love there. And you suddenly remember everything you didn't watch with your own eyes. Suddenly, all the parts of your life, like the people that you miss, that you loved, shine even more brightly and your heart can light up. And if you don't see it as a problem, that means something wrong, or I'll never have that again. You get to collect all these beautiful little things that you hold with you forever and be like, I can't wait to see and feel that again. This is love at its finest. And this is where I miss these opportunities to feel it even further. When you really lean into grief, the sadness paves the way to all the parts that you left because you missed out, you weren't present. And it's really interesting for me. Some of the things that are the most profound in my grieving are the things that I judged. Like even just like annoying things, like the things about people that are like, that's so annoying. Like that's the part of my heart that grieved the deepest because it was the part that I forgot to love. And you discover all that love until it's finally reborn. If you lean into grief fully alive and believing that the grief is the pathway to find all that you haven't allowed yourself to really remember and love until it's all back with you inside. And then you can mirror that out and gain more love into your life. Does that make sense?
Yes, and it feels like what was starting to come in with chaos, like little things that you think bother you or you think are dragging you into this space that you don't want to be are actually the most powerful teachers that you're just not willing to listen to yet. And it reminds me of Alissa used to send me little messages and still does all the time. But they would be little things like, okay, I sent you something, and the title would be Listen When You're Ready. And it would be like, if I'm being honest, I'm probably not ready to listen to this. So let's get to a place that I am before I push myself to do something I'm not really ready for and then resent her for sending it to me and resent myself for doing it. So many teachers, little teachers that are we really willing to listen, or what are we actually doing in space? Because so much of it we miss out on, at least I do. So yes, resonates deeply.
Even like the little letters, like the little love letters. If somebody dies, it's those little things that at the time, like my sister who died, like she made this little video of me and her, gave it to me on her birthday, just us two together throughout our life. And at that time, I remember with you, it was just like, oh, we had so many other things going on. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. And I put it aside. And then after she died, I watched it again, and my heart was so full of love for her, for these little moments through our life. Sorry, that was the moments I could have truly leaned into and loved, even if by reflection that I missed. And isn't it perfect that, by the time they're gone, finally you can love the way you didn't know how? And that's the unfortunate thing a lot of times. Like, that's kind of why we are brought in and out, is to help us see a perspective of what we left behind before they were gone, so that we can collect it all and then allow it to be more full next time. When they come back, or someone else with that same energy in a different role, whatever it is, we can love more fully when we allow ourselves to grieve when it leaves, truly, and surrender to the love that you left behind, and allow that sadness not to drag you down to like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'll never have it again. And then it kind of like changes the experience and can halt the grief. But the grief truly is a journey back home. It is the feeling of what love left behind, and that you have to collect to get back, and then it's whole again. And then it comes back into your life more fully, whether it's another life or with another partner, whatever that is, however it appears. But that's a very, very important lesson I learned. And when I believe it and I know it, then when I'm feeling like, oh, I missed that, I no longer am like, oh, it's hurt and I run away. It's like, oh, where's the love that I can embody here? I can cherish those little moments, and they're little things that I bring back in. I can really allow myself to hold space for it in a beautiful way and not be like, oh, they're gone, so now I can't love that about them. I love that they said that. And I'm so sad that I didn't allow myself to, but I do now. It's just pulling it right back up. So that's what that means. Grief isn't failure, and it's not the end. It's love that keeps singing again and again. And it's a song that says, I love you even when you're gone. And I remember, if I could add to it, I remember all the parts I left behind. And you gather them together and you allow the grief to be the path until you got it all back, and you find them where they're at, whether it's in another life, another dimension. You start talking to them. You gained your relationship, even if it's through another person. You finally allowed yourself to really be present in love and not leave that person behind in those moments, and the love that could be shared later. How does that resonate?
So deeply. And our friend Brian has a comment we can't not share that just resonates so deeply right along with it, which I haven't thought of it in this way before ever. When it becomes possible to love grief, it's one moment to know you are alive. So I feel a lot of feeling behind that. And I just want you to know, Brian, that I admire that you have found whatever it is that's taught you that lesson. And I love that you embodied that in these words tonight. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, we go through life so much as zombies, and grief really does allow us to remember what to be alive. That's the process to get back there. And if you really know that, then like we're saying, grief is that I'm alive and I deserve to be alive. I need to be alive, and you put it back into self so that you can be alive in new relationships that come your way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we didn't get to all the things, or really any. We got to very few of the things that we wanted to talk about tonight, but we're so glad to sit in those things that wanted to be talked about. So we are excited to continue on with more of these as we continue the conversations and find what things do feel that they need attention, and what is calling, so that we can try to listen to that together. So I don't know that we should or that we really have the time to jump into another one, but I think that grief, just with the passing of Mother's Day, it brings up so much, where every Mother's Day I try to bring back and embody for Alissa those things that, in form of children and past relationships, or anything that may have been grief stricken in the past, to remind her that it's all part of her and that it's all here. And for all of you that have had the opportunity or haven't to be a mother, I think it's just important at this point in the cycle of the year to commemorate that is such a beautiful experience, to feel that something is yours and it belongs and you belong to it. And there's no one that can tell you that's not true. Whatever that is, if you feel it belongs here, it does. And I think that's an important permission to give ourselves. Do you have anything that you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, that's really cool, looking at it that way. And I think with mother and child bond, which I believe is the most sacred bond in the universe, and it's kind of why this whole thing began, source and child. And we're all kind of a little bit of mixture of all those things from different perspectives. But to truly allow yourself to say that you belong to everything, anything, and nothing at all. And that it's because it's all you, no matter what. And that's what the kind of life we try to live and try to embody, is that knowingness in our own hearts that if we love it, that's the string. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to earn it. It's love. And it's proof that it's you. That's what love is. It's tying the two. It's the weaving between persons and things. And it's that pure grace to say, I am that too. And when we demonize the connections we make because we're not enough, or when we find those little things, the parts of us that are mirrored out, and then we know that we see, love, and belong to it, and then it leaves, or words are said that make it feel like it wasn't worthy, we can cut off our own love to our own self. And that's what I had to do, was go back into all the people that I had demonized because they had left me. And I'm like, oh, there must be, and I did this whole thing, and I had to re-love them back to me, see all the reasons why that was my love that I offered in the beautiful moments that were special to me. It's something to be cherished throughout eternity, not cut off and said, oh, they're not mine anymore. There's something wrong with loving them. No, I'll love you forever, no matter what. Even when you're at the worst and you don't want anything to do with me, I still get to choose to love you and remember all the love that I had and can keep forever, because it's mine and it always was. And it belongs to me because I was the one that allowed it to stretch from me out. And when you truly allow yourself to see that if you loved it, it's yours, it's not theirs. You chose to reach, and it's a point of yourself reaching out. So you can't say, oh, they took it and there's something wrong with me, or that, oh, that's not mine anymore. You say, that was mine. It's always been, and it will always be. So I get to appreciate my connection and that love between whichever things or people that you have. So reconnecting that is a lot of work, and that's what I had to do because I had a lot of relationships, but it is worth the effort, because love is worth grieving. Love is worth showing up for, and love is yours. And you can't let anybody take it from you, because then suddenly they've taken a part of you, the joy that you had, that you can get back and appreciate, and then allow it to flow in whatever way naturally that it would eventually get to, with whoever would show up to share it with you. But they won't show up if you keep it cut off and you become so small and so insignificant to yourself that you don't know who you are anymore, because you gave away all your love and you thought that it was wrong. It wasn't wrong. It never was, and it never will be. So pull it all back and then restring it in, then you'll be and feel whole again.
I'm going to go back and listen to that a few more times tonight. There is so much there about our sovereignty and our divine being and what that really means and can feel like, even in the midst of chaos, grief, whatever else strikes, because those are keys for all of us to unlock these different feelings inside us. So thank you all of you for joining. Thank you from India and Australia and America and everywhere else in the world that joined. We feel honored to be part of these conversations. These are the most important parts of our relationship in our life. So we hope to continue to share them with all of you who are willing and ready to join, whether it's now or later. These will be saved on the YouTube channel and live most Tuesday nights. So anything to add before we wrap up? Otherwise, I have one little tidbit to invite for those who are still on.
Oh, no, go for it.
Okay. Well, we love to integrate after. There's obviously so many feelings and for me, so much learning. I've been making notes mentally and physically. And so Alissa and I, we're in different rooms in our home. So we kind of stay on after, but we're going to jump to the comments section on YouTube and just share a couple of the integration questions that we have for ourselves and each other. I have one question that I'm just going to put there as a reminder for what this experience has been for me tonight, and for something for us to talk about, and that'll kind of help mold the next conversation too. So any of you who are still on, if you'd like to join us over on YouTube, the Omega Movement channel, we will just be in the comments for a few minutes, or we may be there a little longer. But if you'd like to join, just drop any questions or any epiphanies or anything that you didn't get to put on the screen. Drop it in there.
Even more exciting, anything you'd like to talk about next time, anything that sparks your interest of conversations that you'd like to be a part of. We would love to hear anything that excites you, or that you wonder, or whatever feels curious to you to explore together. Those two.
Yeah. So feel free to join us. Again, just the YouTube channel of our show will be in the comments for Conversation 3, just for a little bit. And thank you so much. 5/13/25 is a very special, important day, a big day, and we feel that, and we are doing what we can to enjoy it while it's here every moment. And so, yeah, we'll see you in the comments if you can join. Thank you so much, all of you, for contributing to the energy, to the love, and we hope to see you again.
Bye.
Bye.
The full 3